How was your adult revenge on your childhood bully? After I finished high school, a girl who bullied me relentlessly for years messaged me on Facebook saying a bunch of awful things. Facebook was new at the time, we all added anyone we knew. I just screenshotted the messages and posted them to her wall. Then a bunch of her friends messaged me asking if I was okay. I got my revenge and didn't have to stoop to her level. I married my bully's high school crush. Not my bully, but my best friends. Kinda kept in touch with the entire high school class through Facebook once it came out. This Ashat asks if he can use me as a reference because we got similar degrees and ended up in the second field. Adult him seems like a sham. It's all fake. My high school best friend moved to Europe because of this guy. He can't change that much. So I agree to meet him for drinks and see if he changed. 10 minutes into the meetup and he's telling me about cheating on his wife with girls right out of high school. So, of course, I said yes. Only had 3 calls I guess before he caught on. But I made sure I told the truth. Being a confident, successful adult. Just kidding. I'm faking it like the rest of you. I gave him decaf latte before he left to go to his high-powered Wall Street exec job. Haha. He's going to be tired around 11. My best revenge was to just keep on being myself. This girl in high school would criticize me on everything. Call me names and pick up fights with me for no reason. She eventually got kicked out of school. We met when we were in our early 20s. She started off nicely with the usual "how are you? What's been happening?" Turns out she hadn't even changed a little bit. "Oh yeah? Want to be a teacher? You'll probably make a miserable one. I wouldn't send me kids to your school. Ever." That's when I realized that I was just so over her and her bullying and that there was just no hope for her to realize what she did was wrong. It gave me some sort of satisfaction. Not so much revenge. But I got an insane amount of satisfaction from seeing that they all lived up to the expectations set out for them to become single, unwed mothers by 24. See? They might consider themselves successful if they lived up to their own expectations. We should congratulate them on their success. I was pretty fat as a youngster, but people still found me attractive. This bothered my bully so much that anytime she could, she would bully me about my weight. Oh, I love those jeans. How do you find them in your size? Taking sneak pictures of me in class and putting them online. Or forcing me to kiss another girl at a sleepover, then telling everyone I was a les. It was great. Fast forward 10 years. I'm starting a career I love. Lost a substantial amount of weight and am living far away from my small town upbringing. I go home to visit my mother and who do I see walking around the grocery store? Hair thrown up in a ratty headband. Extra 30 pounds on her hips and looking like a complete mess. I knew I could ruin her right there, but I didn't. I simply put a big smile on my face and said, "Wow. Motherhood looks great on you." The fact that she had to trick someone into getting her pregnant after a drunken night at the local watering hole and now has 4 stepkids before 25 makes me realize that her bitterness and hateful attitude has served her more revenge than I ever could. A kid that bullied me in high school ended up addicted to crack or meth. Not sure which. I saw him 10 years later as I was leaving a drive-thru and yelled his last name. He turned and I saw the scratch marks on his face and a big burn type gash in the middle of his lip. I asked him what had happened and he told me he got kicked out of his home. Instead of laughing at him or belittling him, I handed him the bag of food I just bought for myself as well as my cigarettes. He almost cried because according to him, never in a million years would I have thought that after all the shit I put you through, that you'd help. I told him we were stupid kids and shit happens. I visited him once a week and just talked with him and kept telling him to get off the drugs. I moved away a short time after that, so I didn't know what had happened to him. One day, I got a friend request from him on Facebook. He kicked the drug habit and was working as a barista for one of those corner coffee shops. He is now married and living a life worth living. At the end of the day, no matter how much grief he put me through, He was his own worst enemy and anything I could have done to him or said to him was nothing compared to what he did to himself. I'm glad he's better and living a better life. My bully hit on me at some bar years after he bullied me. I knew who he was immediately. But he had no idea who I was, so he kept going. Finally I asked, "Do you know who I am?" And he said no. I said, "I'm so and so, and you made my life a living hell in elementary school and I want an apology." His face dropped and he apologized profusely. Said that he was a huge asshole in elementary school etc etc. Not gonna lie, it felt good. I have Tourette's syndrome and was bullied relentlessly in early grade school. One day in the winter I had had enough. So I threw a jagged block of ice at my bully's face. Knocked some teeth out and he needed stitches. I almost got expelled. Worth it. Bumped into him at a bar. He apologized for bullying me. I didn't remember him. Some people do change for the better. Yeah. He'd really matured. We had a beer together and reminisced. A kid that bullied me in high school. He actually gave me a black eye once and got suspended for it. Messaged me on Facebook apologizing for everything he did to me back then. I told him it's okay, you were just young and didn't know better. I eventually got a drink with him one day to see what he was up to and he broke down on me. Started talking to me about his alcohol problems and how he was self-destructive. He was getting kicked out of his mom's place and had no job. Me being the sap I am, offered him a job at the restaurant I was managing at the time. This was about 2 years ago. Fast forward to 3 months ago, he is now a kitchen manager at the same restaurant and he asks me if I'd like to get a drink with him. Dude bought me and my girlfriend a ticket to Colorado and told me he will never be able to pay me back for how much I helped him, but he is at least in the position where he can try. Colorado was fun. Got really high. I worked as a newscast director for my local TV station a few years back. Part of the job was making show graphics, maps, full screens, dots, over the shoulders, etc. for each newscast, including for the local crimister per segment. I prepped the mugshots of no less than 3 people who gave me shit in school for air during my tenure there. That always managed to put a smile on my face. Not really a bully, but my turd scum of an ex-girlfriend. She broke up with me after coming back from a trip and telling me at school the next day she cheated on me with some random dude she met online. We're both 21 plus now. And she's got a 3-year-old kid and still lives with her mother. Last month, I was at a Kroger buying flowers for my current GF. She's ducking amazing BTW. And turd scum is with her non-baby daddy boyfriend. Dude looks at me walking down the aisle with a nice bouquet of flowers and says, "Hey, maybe I should buy you some flowers like that guy is doing for his girl." The look of utter shock and disdain on her face was ducking priceless. Walked by her with the biggest smirk on my face. Best part was I was all fancied up cause I was about to surprise my GF with a date night. So I'm dressed in a polo and slacks. And turd sheets chimney choker has his pants around his thighs and looks like he hadn't bathed in a week. So satisfying. So I have a friend who sometimes catches up with my high school bully and gets his new number. My friend gives me his number and then I spend the afternoon signing him up for gay dating sites and some weird Craigslist sheet. I'm told he has had to change numbers about 20-30 times in the last 3 years. I have not taken revenge at all. I have moved away and left it behind as much as I could. Now I just watch him waste his life from afar with a content smile and see how not having education is kicking his ass. He is losing friends and eventually will end up alone. Not that my life is so amazing, but I am doing better than him. I wasn't really bullied growing up, by the way. But I do have a story. Guy who bullied my cousin and even brainwashed his then girlfriend and turned her against him was paralyzed from the neck down in an accident and will never have use of his body again. My cousin told him right to his face that he got what he deserved. I had my bullies approach me on bonfire night when I was about 17. They came and said how sorry they were that they made school horrible for me etc. I told them to go duck themselves. I persevered and became quite popular in school while they faded into obscurity for being big digs. Not me. But my 9-year-old daughter has to deal with this girl in her class that is a bully to everyone. Though she is especially mean to my daughter. Luckily most of the time. The kids all have her back, and she theirs. The teachers are aware of her issues and try their best. But she's sneaky. My daughter is type 1 diabetic. And this girl likes to tease her. She does lots of things. But is really mean about it. She told her that her feet will get chopped off due to beaters and other horrible things. One day, she was waving a big chocolate chip cookie in her face, telling her how she can't eat stuff like that because she's a freak. My daughter had enough. She got up and slapped the girl across the face. And the cookie went flying too. She yelled, "Leave me alone." The whole lunchroom went silent. The girl ran to tell the teacher. And the kids cheered. She came home and told us because she felt badly about it. The girl told the teacher. Crying of course. But several students also told the whole story. The teacher told my kid matter-of-factly, "Don't do that anymore." And yelled at the girl and made her stay from recess. Since then, this girl gives my daughter a wide berth. I do not condone this behavior. But damn, it was hard to keep a straight face when we were telling her that it was the wrong way to resolve things. I never really got revenge but worked my ass off at uni and ended up working on movies. Got married. Had a kid and have my own house, so that was revenge enough. That he didn't dictate my life. I then found out that he was a school counselor for unruly children and thought to myself, he's turned his life around. Good for him. I was about 10 when this neighborhood asshole tortured me. The final straw was when he took a down power line and whipped me in the back with it while I skated by him rollerblading. He left welts and it hurt for days. About a week later I biked to his house knowing his parents were at work still. So it was just him and his sister home. He had an archery set up in his backyard and I took his bow and arrows. I waited behind a tree until he got outside and shot that little Methodika with his own sheet right in his chest and then went for his face. While he was doubled over I kicked him and spit on him and told him if he ever came near me again I'd kill him. And I meant it. With every fiber of my 10-year-old being. After the day I knew what I was capable of and was never afraid of anyone again. His parents came to my house and talked to my grandpa who knew what was going on and held it down for me. I didn't get in trouble for it. As an adult I obviously handle conflicts differently, but that is my best bully revenge story. Karma eventually got them. One died of brain cancer. A car accident got 4 of them at once a couple years after graduation. 3 died. The other lost his legs. And the teacher who I hated got arrested a couple years later for ducking a student. Plan on doing it someday when I have money. I plan on paying off their debts just to make them feel horrible for treating me like shit and saying I won't amount to anything. There was a guy who was popular but also a bully at my high school. I ran into him at a bar about 15 years after. He was super cool and the nicest guy ever. I was talking with his wife and I mentioned the bully thing and she said everyone she meets from his high school tells her that story. He even acknowledged it and apologized. Apparently he was going through a very rough time in high school and he had since learned a lot and life had calmed way down. It made me feel really good about not holding on to things like that. I didn't. The universe did. It wasn't exactly protracted enough or abusive enough to be called bullying. But when I was 11, I had a friend I went around with and she tried to introduce me to her larger circle of friends. This one girl who was basically the alpha female would not stop ripping on me for not being cool enough. She threw fits about how ducking uncool I was because I went to drama class instead of other cooler hobbies. She went on and on about how I was uncool because I didn't go to the same cafe they went to. Fast forward a few years. She ended up a teenage mother. Lol. He's a cop now. So my revenge is basically just watching his marriage fail and seeing his 3 kids grow to hate him. It's Bretty Good. Got taller than him. Got better looking than him. Got in better shape than him. got overall bigger than him and trained in MMA for 2 years to learn how to fight. Have a hotter wife than him. Make a lot more money than him. Best revenge is doing well for yourself. Suck a big dig. Jeff.